Unicode. Discussion at dinner table last night made me think that we ought to have a little tutorial. And this is little indeed. Um, so this is the quote at the top of their webpage. Everyone in the world should be able to use their own language on phones and computers. That's kind of the goal. And before Unicode came along, there were a lot of different encodings for a handful of, as they say, large languages. That's also from their webpage. But there are a lot of languages that didn't have, that are in modern commercial use. As I was saying last night, the final modern use, widely used language or semi-widely used language that's in commercial use to be encoded by Unicode is Javanese from the island of Java. And so there were a lot of conflicts between these things, encodings, and so Unicode was designed to unify everything and be universal, and there's several other U's that they use as mnemonics for what it did. So all it does at bottom line is assign numbers starting at 0 to every 0 stands for null, or null is the null character is assigned to the number 0 on up to just over 1 million. And it's been in existence 30 some years, and it's about a third full. So originally, mostly they were non-computer people, and they made less than ideal decisions, shall we say, and didn't realize that necessarily until later. So they thought at first 65,000 characters would be all that were needed to encode the world's languages. And they realized not very long into it that that wasn't going to be enough. So they don't think in powers of 2 like I tend to think. They created, did I say this? Oh yeah, they call each 65,535 chunk a plane. And they thought, well, 1 plane's not enough, 16 probably are. And so that's where we are with that's why that was a question that came up last night, was why isn't it a power of 2? And it's because they don't think that way. So there are 3 sanctioned methods for looking at these encodings. The simplest is what they call UTF-32, and that's just the number as an integer, positive integer, an unsigned, in a 32-bit word. And if somebody created hardware that was a 21-bit word, it would work too. You could have UTF-21. Now other people have created other sorts of weird things, like there's a UTF-7, or I think there's even a UTF-1. And I don't know anything about that. The second one is UTF-16, and those are the characters that were in the original plane, minus ones that they have reserved for pairing to be able to take a pair of those to represent the other 15 planes. And this is what you have in Windows and ZOS from IBM. The most ubiquitous one that Perl uses mostly is UTF-8. And it is a variant length encoding. You can have 1 through 4 bytes to represent these characters up to 1,114,111. The first byte is a start byte, and it has a distinctive syntax. If the first bit of that byte is 0, it's the only byte in the sequence, and it corresponds identically to all the to ASCII characters that you all know and love or know about. Anyway, if the first bit is a 1 and it's the first byte in the sequence, the second bit also must be a 1. And the number of leading 1 bits tells you how many bytes in total the sequence is. So I'll just give the first example here. 110, and then you have 5 X's. So that 110, the 2 ones indicate that that sequence will occupy 2 bytes in total. The 0 is a demarcation that's needed to separate it from the 5 bits that are payload, which will be the 5 highest bits of that second of the number it represents. The second byte will be a continuation, and it will begin with 10. And then the 6 bits, which I have labeled Y here, are the payload for that. And those are the lower 6 bits of the integer that the code point is from. I didn't mention what code point is, but that's their term for the ordinal number that represents the character. And so if you had 3 ones in the first byte, the start byte, then you would have 2 continuation bytes, each with 6 bits. There are a lot of complications. The world's languages are highly varied. I claim this is because teenagers wish to be not understood by their parents, and so they make changes. Emoji, I'm running out of time. So I may have to skip that. We can talk about that later. Adopt a character. Somebody was saying characters are being auctioned off that aren't used. It's not the case. That sounds like a piece of deliberate misinformation, false witness. You can adopt a character, and they use the funds for that to fund their low script initiative. So you could adopt, I'm sure it's already been done, pile of poo, and dedicate it to your unfavorite politician, should you want. You can go on their website. They tell you which characters are available, and so like the letter Q. If this were Sesame Street, I went on the website last night. The letter Q is available. So is a left parentheses. There are a lot of characters to choose from, and that are still available. And I think that's it. But one of the rules of Unicode is they do not, once a character is encoded, it's there. They can deprecate its use, and they do, where they consider the initial thing thought out.